Give it to God. Normally we have, people here and you're able to do the whole call and response thing, give it to, and then people say God, right? So we don't have, people here, but it's okay. I'm going to go ahead and say it, and I hope that you guys can type it up in the comments when I say give it to God, and then you type it in, okay? I want you guys to just grasp onto this title and know that this is going to be a powerful word for your life. I want to go ahead and share something special with you guys today. I brought this. This is my prayer journal. It is something really special that is tied to this message. It was given to me just about a year ago, actually. Given to me just about a year ago by the pastor from Mozambique, Pastora Raquel. She came out here last year around June, July, and we were able to have a lunch together with her daughters at our home, and they love pupusas, by the way. They do, and they love everything plátano, so it was a great turnout. And they gave me this gift. It's really special to me because I use it as my prayer journal, and it has really nice fabrics and stuff. And so I told myself, when I end up going to Mozambique, I'm going to take this with me. I'm going to take this prayer journal, and I'm going to write all the experiences I'm going to have there. I'm going to go ahead and every day journal and every day have a moment to reflect. And I'm going to use that. Especially this journal is going to be special for that. So in January of this year, I started using it. And I was like, okay, I'm going to start from the prep, right? So everything I have here, January, February, has to do with, the preparation, praying for finances, praying for everything. And I specifically use a prayer journal overall because if you guys know me, you know that I love to talk a lot, right? Of course. So if you could imagine all the words that come out of my mouth, that means that the words that are in my head are 2 or 3 times as much because believe it or not, I do filter what I say. And so because of that, I've always had a struggle with being focused when I'm praying. So that's when I started using a prayer journal a few years back, and it allows me to focus on what I'm praying. I get to say it, I get to read it, I get to write it, meditate on it. And so, as I started this year praying over the finances, praying over what was going to happen when I went to Mozambique, because that was my plan to go for 2.5 months, I was so excited. And as you guys know, it's so funny how things turn out, but God had different plans, right? God had different plans. COVID-19 came around, and due to COVID-19, I was not able to go on the trip to Mozambique. In that moment, I learned I had to give it to God, like the word says, give it to God. And so instead, believe it or not, this is completely filled, this prayer journal in a few months. I guess I should call this now my COVID-19 prayer journal. And this is now filled not with experiences that I thought were going to happen in Mozambique, but instead with prayers, with different just crying out, pouring out to God for healing, for miracles, for comfort, for provision during everything that's happened the last 2 to 3 months. And I want to share that with you guys. Surprisingly enough, we're only 7 months into the year. And I learned these statistics this last week. We had a youth night, and one of our leaders, Melanie, actually shared these statistics, and they were so powerful, and I asked her to share with me the numbers. And so I'm going to go ahead and share 10 million worldwide. So that's all just had to do with COVID-19, right? This illness that came and affected all of us in so many ways. But besides that, from April to now, we started learning about different things that were happening, different injustices that were happening in the U.S. and our community, against the Black community, against people of color. Some of the victims of that, some of the people that were killed during that time: Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, Elijah McClain, just to name a few. So many more, so many more. Protests happen worldwide, not just here in LA, not just in the state of California, in the country of the US, but worldwide. Worldwide, we had protests, people seeking for justice, seeking for answers. And so all of that happened, and we're just Today's July 12th. We're halfway almost to July. And so we still have a lot more to go for 2020. With all this happening, it's so hard to wrap my mind around um, everything being okay, everything being well. It's almost like a never-ending nightmare, 2020. Don't forget, in between that, there were the bees that were going to kill everybody. The World War III supposedly was supposed to happen. So many other things. And a lot of times, watching the news is so depressing. It's like you didn't even want to watch it. I know I don't. My parents start watching it, and I just get up and go to another room because I just can't stand so much bad news happening all the time. But there's one thing that I've learned from this, from everything that's happened worldwide in my personal life, is to give it to God. And I'm going to say it one more time, and I hope you guys are typing it up in the comments. Give it to God. And give what? Give your worries, give your stress, your uncertainty, everything. Like the beautiful song they just sang earlier, I surrender. Surrender it all to him. In John 16:33, it says, I have told you these things so that in me you have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. Says, in this world you will have trouble. Man, if that's not the truth. But take heart, I have overcome the world. So I want to share with you 3 benefits that we have when we give it to God. 3 benefits. The first is that he takes care of us. God takes care of us through our troubles, through our trials, through our tribulations. In 1 Peter 5:7, it says, cast all your anxieties upon him because he cares for you. He's a God of wonders. He's the God that created the heaven and earth, all the animals. He is the one that's done so much. And he cares for each and every one of us. And, a lot of people ask me like, oh man, it sucks. You didn't get to go to Mozambique, or, that just did not turn out your way, huh? I know I have a friend who called me and his perspective was so different than what I had in mind, because he was just like, man, that's crazy, Liz. You had all these plans and you left your job, and then COVID happened, and then you didn't even go, and now you're just stuck at home. And like everything he said, I was like, oh yeah, that does sound pretty bad, huh? Like I was like, wow, yeah, you're right. And then we had different family members that got sick, and he was just like, wow, your life has just been really like sucks these last few months, huh? Man, how you holding up, And in that moment, because I hadn't thought about it in that way when he shared it, because throughout all of these trials, throughout all these issues, throughout these just different obstacles that I went through, I decided to give it to God. I decided to give all that to him and allow him to take control. And I think, what would have happened if I would have gone to Mozambique? What would have happened to me physically? What would have happened emotionally, spiritually? What would have happened mentally? We had some really intense moments that happened here with our family. My grandpa passed in late April. Cousin Michael was in the hospital for a very long time. And what would have happened if I would have been over there knowing that all this was happening here with my family? And I want to go ahead and accept and believe that God was taking care of me when I had to make the decision that I could no longer go. Doesn't mean I'm not going to go. I believe that in the future I will be going, but just right now wasn't the right time. And he was caring for me in that moment. And it's really hard sometimes for us to trust God in those seasons. It's hard for us to trust in someone that, is there for us, but it's hard because you can't see him. You want to have a dialogue when you go out to pray for him, and that could be challenging sometimes, but that is when our faith is tested the most. And one verse that always stands out to me, or a story in a song, many songs, is about how it says in Matthew 6:25 to 34, it says, therefore I tell you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Can any one of you, by worrying, add a single hour to your life? If he looks after the sparrows, of course he's going to look after every single one of us. That's one of the greatest benefits. When you give it to God, he cares for you. The second benefit is that he reassures that he is there. You have to be able to give God that trust, that surrender. All the plans that you had, everything you have figured out in your life, you have to be able to give that to him. And he reassures that he is there by different ways. One, he gives us the intelligence, the wisdom to be able to care for ourselves in different ways. The knowledge and the wisdom that we need to take care of ourselves physically. The wisdom and the knowledge to be able to accept the protocols that are happening right now. Understanding that in order for us to stay safe, we need to stay at home. In order for us to stay safe, we need to stay 6 feet apart. In order for us to stay safe, we need to wear a mask, as uncomfortable as that may be. We have to accept that and do it for our own physical health. But also, he allows us to take care of ourselves in our spiritual life by connecting with people, connecting with groups and that community. That's one of the greatest things that I've seen through this season. Is although I may not have been able to see my brothers and sisters, my friends, my co-workers, whoever it is, I may not have been able to see all these people that were my close-knit community. They have been there, present. And I think God has really shown up in that way. And I'm so grateful for that. I believe that he's been able to show up in that way. And through this community that I'm a part of, this specific English ministry here, man, so many times you guys, people have called me, different members that are here now, calling me, hey, how's this? How's that? Hey, I heard about your cousin. Hey, your grandpa. Hey, how's your dad doing? All this. And it's been so beautiful to have this community, this group of people here constantly keeping up with me. Something that I felt so palpable, so you could taste it, so powerful in my life is the prayers that have been poured out into my family's life. Like I said, we went through some really hard times. I know COVID-19 is something that's going to be forever, whenever it's mentioned, it's something that's going to be forever related to our family. And specifically, we're not going to remember it like, remember that one time? That was crazy. We stayed inside and like years from now. But more so, it's going to be connected to the death of my grandfather. And during that time, I was able to feel the power of prayer. I was able to feel the power of prayer through my brothers and sisters here, calling me, texting me, praying over me, FaceTime me, Zoom, every possible way you guys can think. People were praying over our family. And that's another way that God shows that he cares for us. And that's how we have to give it to him. Give it all to God. In that moment, this journal here, I'm telling you, I'm glad that it's still intact, because I'm sure there's so many tears that were cried over this journal of different situations that were happening in that time. And it's so beautiful when you're a part of a community. I encourage every single one of you watching right now to be a part of a community. Connect, whether it's with us, another community, whoever it might be. Connect with a community that's going to draw you closer to God, that's going to help you give it to him, that's going to encourage you every day to take a step closer in his intimate relationship with who he is. Because he's the one that's caring for you, and he sends these angels, your friends, family, this close-knit community to pray over you and be there with you. I remember one day, I'm going to go ahead and share this, and I hope my friends aren't feeling some type of way, but I remember one day I got a phone call, and a friend said, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It was Roger. And he called me. Sorry, Roger. He called me and said, hey, are you guys home? And I said, yeah, we're here. Ain't nowhere else to be. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we're right here. And he was like, okay. Can you guys come outside? And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So here I go, running around, calling the rest of the family, all of us. Hey, what you guys? Hey, come on. Roger's outside. He wants to say hi to us. I don't know. Maybe he stopped by to say hi to his mom, because his mom lives close to us. And I was like, I don't know. And as we walked outside, I remember seeing not just Roger, but Roger and Anna and Gata and Rudy and Alba. man, and they had all these things with them, and I was like, what? I was like, did they bring the sound equipment? What is going on? Like, what is all that stuff? And they came and they brought a basket of fruit. They brought some greeting cards. My grandpa just had passed about a week and a half when they showed up, and they came and they brought this huge container filled with so many goodies for the kids, for Jada and Josiah, and they said the most beautiful words in that moment, and coffee and all kinds of stuff. I just remember being like, oh my goodness, and they just came by and they said, hey, just want to let you guys know that we love you, and we're praying for you, and I know this is a really tough time that you guys are going through, and I remember seeing my dad, because I'm super emotional. Obviously, I'm always crying whenever I grab this microphone. But I was already broken down, and my dad, I looked over at him, and he just kind of had his head down. I feel like because he didn't want to show his emotion, but he was so touched by that act of kindness, that will forever be a part of our family, a part of this season, this experience that we went through. And we haven't said thank you enough. We kept, like, after they left, we were just like in awe. The kids were so happy with all their stuff. I probably took some of their snacks, to be honest. I don't remember, but I was like, ooh, that's nice. And so we kept texting and say thank you, thank you, thank you. But that's how I was able to see God bringing this community, this group of people that were there in these most difficult times of our family. And we were able to give it all to God, this grief, give it all to Him. And He brought comfort and love and joy and peace, and brought it through our brothers and sisters who came and gave us these blessings upon blessings upon blessings, and this act of kindness. And the same way, I want to let you know that in the Bible there's a story. It's a beautiful story that I've learned about through these trying times right now. In Philippians 2:19 through 30, there's a story about a man named Epaphroditus. Yes, that is his name. It's a hard name to pronounce, Epaphroditus. And he was a man that was sent, as Paul was in prison, he was sent to take care of Paul. But while he was in prison, Paul was in prison, and Epaphroditus showed up to care for him. He actually got sick as he was caring for Paul. He got sick, and in Philippians 2:27, God was able to restore his health. And it says, this is Paul speaking, indeed, he was ill and almost died, but God had mercy on him, and not on him only, but also on me, to spare me sorrow upon sorrow. Therefore, I am all the more eager to send him, so that when you see him again, you may be glad and I may have less anxiety. So then welcome him in the Lord with great joy, and honor people like him, because he almost died for the work of Christ. He risked his life to make up for the help you yourselves could not give me. This is Paul sharing about how Epaphroditus almost passed away as he went to go help him in prison and be there for him. Just the same way Epaphroditus was there for Paul, I know that the community that God has placed you in, whether it's this one or another community, that is the same care that God is constantly looking out for you. Constantly looking out for you. Constantly sending people to you, praying for you, being there, giving you those words of encouragement. And lastly, God works in our trials. When you give it to him, he works in your trials. If you try to figure it out on your own, if you try to be that person that's like, oh no, I got this, I don't need, no, it's not going to work out. Trust me, I've tried it too many times before. He works in your trials when you give it all to him. And I want to wrap up with this. It's a testimony and a moment of gratitude to each and every one of you who've been praying for my cousin Michael. My cousin Michael was released, as many of you know, and if you don't, he was discharged from the hospital on Thursday. One of the happiest days of my life. I'm destined that's going to be his second birthday or something, because we're going to celebrate that forever. And he was discharged after 95 days of being in the hospital fighting with COVID-19. I'm going to give you guys some numbers here. 95 days of being in the hospital, 76 days on a ventilator, 66 days in a coma. He passed away for about 7 minutes due to cardiac arrest and then was resuscitated through CPR. That's why we got to keep praying for all those medical workers out there really doing everything they can. His left lung collapsed twice and his right lung collapsed one time. All this happened in 95 days. All of this. And I'm sure he has such an amazing testimony. I personally cannot wait to catch up with him. I personally cannot wait to have a conversation with him and him share what he went through and the impact I know it's going to have on so many people. And that just shows how God is working in that trial. I could not be there with him, alongside him in the hospital. I lost contact with him after the first week he was in the hospital when he went into that induced coma. Unfortunately, I had direct contact with him until that moment. And when I could no longer speak to him, I remember being here that whole time, because that's as soon as COVID started. I remember being here when we were doing the 7 words for Easter, and he was texting me when he was in the hospital, telling me how scared he was, telling me how he couldn't breathe, telling me to pray for him. And I that's all I could say. I'm here. I'm praying for you. You're going to get through this. And then I no longer had contact with him. And I remember sitting here every single Sunday when we've been live streaming. And during the worship, I would break down. Sometimes I'm really grateful that we get to wear masks because everyone can't see all your emotions when you're wearing it. And the word will be happening and I will break down. And the word will be ending and I will break down because I kept praying and certain words, certain messages gave me encouragement. But it was such a tough time, such a trial that our family went through. And I would cry out to God through this journal. Wow, yesterday when I was preparing for this, I was reading through it. And it's beautiful to keep this for memories. I saw some prayers in here for Ezra when he went through his surgery, for different family members, for different people who I knew were struggling through different things. And man, I found Michael's name. We call him all kinds of things. I call him Mikey, Michael, Chell, Elisel, everything. His name came out here so many times. Every other page I flipped, it was something about help his vitals, help him breathe, help his right lung, help his left lung, help him move his hand, help my aunts, help my uncle, help my cousins, and I know that God was with me during that time. Some days I felt like I couldn't hear him, I couldn't feel him, but every time I came here, every time I was a part of this community, every time I gave it to God, I knew that he was working. One day, I know he's going to be here sharing his testimony with each and every one of us. I know he's going to be sharing what God did in his life. And I just want to share this Bible verse with you all. In 1 Peter 1:6-7, it says, "In all this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while you may have had to suffer grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that the proven genuineness of your faith, of greater worth than gold, which perishes, even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor when Jesus Christ is revealed." And I just want to let you know that although sometimes it may feel like you don't want to rejoice, although sometimes you may feel like you don't want to sit there and thank God and give him all the honor and glory because you don't see anything happening, you don't see anything moving, you see things getting worse and worse with the numbers going up in COVID cases, people dying, people going to the hospital, people being contaminated, families going through these struggles of provision and so many things that we're constantly bombarded with. I want you to know that he is there. When you give it to God, he is there. He is there to care for you. He is there to look out for you. He is there to send that community of people to surround you, to be there every step of the way. Just the same way that I know my brothers and sisters, when they were struggling, I was trying my best to be there for them. The same way they're there for me. Because when you give it to God, I'm going to say it one more time. When you give it, and I hope you guys are putting it in the comments. When you give it to God, I'm telling you, he's there. He's there to care for us, to be there for us, and to always encourage us to keep going. I'm not sure when this is going to be over. I know that this is one of the greatest victories we've had so far is Michael coming out of the hospital, but I know that there's so many other people that are suffering, so many other people that are struggling. I hope that, things do get better. I pray for that. I pray for each and every one of our viewers, our members, church members, everybody, that they may stay safe. But the truth of the matter is, every day we're finding out about more and more people being contaminated. And it's so intense, but all I can do in every part of my life, I don't know what the next few months of my life are going to look like. People ask me all the time, are you going to go get a job? Are you going to leave to Mozambique anytime soon? So what are you going to do? You just gonna stay at home? Or I don't know. I honestly do not know what the next 2 to 3 months of my life are going to look like. What the rest 6 months of 2020 is going to look like. But I'm going to give it to God. I'm going to give it all to him. Allow him to direct my path. Allow him to bring that understanding and that revelation into my life in order for me to follow what he has, his will greater than mine. I thank you for everyone that's been here with us. I thank you because I know that God's blessing each and every one of you guys at home. And I encourage you to keep going. I encourage you to keep connecting. I encourage you to stay connected to that community that's going to bring you closer in that relationship to him. I thank you so much, every single one of you. And at this moment, I want to wrap up with this prayer. I'm going to pray so God can be able to give us that understanding, that ability to give it all to him. Amen. Please bow your heads with me. Dear Heavenly Father, at this moment, God, we come to you praying, Lord Jesus. Every single one of our viewers, every single one of our members, every single one of our staff that are here right now, from our worship team, our media team, God. I pray for every single one of them, God, if they're going through these dry spells, if they're going through these moments where they no longer can feel who Christ is, they no longer can feel this love, they no longer feel this peace, God, that they may be able to understand that your will always be greater. You're greater than our highs, you're greater than our lows, God. I pray, Lord Jesus, that they may give it to you, give you everything, God. May they give you everything, Lord Jesus. And they trust you. They may trust you that you're going to care for each and every one of us, God. You're going to care for us through the community. You're going to care for us as we give you it all, Lord Jesus. I thank you so much, God. You're so good, and you continue to be good, God. I pray that everyone may be able to be blessed, have a blessed rest of the week, God. I pray, Lord Jesus, for provision over their life, good health over their life, God. And I thank you, Lord Jesus, because you are good today and always. In your name.